Many people believe that file system commands are more specific to the Hadoop admins, but um, in reality, not only just like Hadoop admins, even for Hadoop developers or architects or whoever dealing with the Hadoop or HDFS, okay, like they all should know in file system options, and also they should be expert in using them. So one of the first learning outcomes from any of the Hadoop classes HDFS file system commands. Okay, like so, there are a bit handful number around probably 34 or 34 to 40 commands, depending on Hadoop version, which version that we have been using. So uh, uh, we'll go through one by one by one. Okay, like how to use, what would be the usage of that command, and where we could use it, and like that. Uh, Even before I start explaining about the file system commands, um, I'm expecting all of you should have a minimum, okay, like usage knowledge about Linux operating system. Okay, like at least some commands in Unix, like ls, okay, will display the list of the files in any of the given directory, and pwd will give you the project working directory, and CP stands for copying the files from source to the destination. NV stands for move the file from the source to the destination. So these are some file system level commands uh, on the Unix and Linux side. Okay. Uh, the reason I'm highlighting on the Unix and Linux file system, because most of the Hadoop commands also derived from these commands. Okay, like so they named based on this Unix and Linux commands. So you could see the same name, okay, like for both, even if it is a OS level command and even about the HDFS. So let me open a terminal, and then step by step I will explain, okay, like in between whenever we are going through step by step there. Um, okay, so now I logged into my sandbox cluster. Okay, you could see the host name. Okay, like which is my sandbox. Um, I do have a one node cluster. Okay, like so just imported from the Hardonworks website. So I do have the ready setup for the entire cluster. Okay, like in only one node. So all the demands. Okay, like we started on the same node, because this will be very handy. Okay, like to go through all the commands and even to show that. Okay, like command syntax and everything. I'm switching over to the username. Okay, like it's called like HDFS. HDFS user has um, uh, super user privileged in the Hadoop cluster. Typically, the whenever you install a cluster, okay, like so there are some set of super users will be created, some set of users will be created, and some. So it has all the super user privileges inside the cluster. So especially in the HDFS file system, so you could do uh, all the possible things with the HDFS user. So you could create a directory, remove the directory, okay, like so with all the permissions and all the stuff. So it's as good as you could log into a root user in the local operating system. Okay, like it is similar to that. There is no root user in the HDFS. So in the HDFS, I mean, at least in the Hadoop cluster, there won't be any root user. So HDFS user has all the root or super user privileges. Okay. So here, okay. First thing, I created a directory called class underscore local. Okay. I created a directory and named it as a local because this directory exists in the local operating system. So this here the local indicates okay the file is in the local operating system. So I do have some of the text files in a given directory. So you know that, right? ls minus l or ls command, okay, like will give you list of the files available in the given directory. So wherever you are in. And also for the list, I can also pass the directory name as well. So if I pass home HDFS, okay, like, and then it will give you a list of files and directories available in that folder. If you don't pass uh, any of the path to the ls, it will give you the list of the files and subdirectories available on the current directory. So to see the present working directory or current directory, you could type the pwd will give you the current working directory in your local operating system. And then you could traverse each subfolder using cd command. Okay. This is the local Unix uh, file system command. Okay. Uh, R is in the recursive manner, and T is the sorted by the time. Okay, like so, you will get all the files sorted by the timestamp. Okay, like that. I mean, you would see that latest file at first. Okay, like it's a descending order of the time when you pass the T option there. Okay. I do have the student.txt file. Okay, like so I would like to see the contents. So see the contents, we will use a cat student.txt file. So you could see that the content of the file, okay, like displayed on the screen, which will be the purpose of the cat. Another one, ls minus h will give you um, the size of the file in human readable format. So this H stands for human readable format. Okay, I will not get that. So here LRT. Okay. So here size, you could see that here the 131K. And if you don't pass the H, okay, like it will give you in terms of the bytes. Okay, like so 1336667 bytes. And if you pass the H, it will give you the human readable format. Okay, like so which is of 131K. It will convert kilobyte and megabyte, gigabyte, terabyte like that, so that you could read the size very easily. Okay. That is the purpose of the H here. Purpose of the H. And the next one, DU. Okay, like so DU also home, HDFS, class underscore local. Here you could see the one like how much size that it has been uh, occupied. Okay, like on the local disk. Disk usage, DU stands for. Okay. There are several like these commands are also like file system commands. So I just giving you some of the sample, okay, like 5 or 6 commands. Um, Pretty soon, okay, like you will be realized why I'm using the local file system commands. Um, Let me. commands. Okay, like so. Here, remember we are in the class local directory. Also, we will I'll show you how to see um, the contents of a HDFS file system. Okay, so ls we know that it will display the list of the file contents, file and and directories contents any given folder, right? So similarly, even in HDFS, okay, like if you want to see what are the contents of HDFS file system, okay, like HDFS file system in a given folder. So what we could do is HDFS space DFS and then hyphen ls. So this command will give you the list of files and directories available in a given directory. So type enter. You could see that similarities between okay, local file system and also HDFS file system. If you give ls, it will give you the list of the files available in the local file system. And if you give HDFS, DFS, ls, this will give you the list of the files and directories available in HDFS. Okay. So where are these files and where are these files directories? So these are the files and directories available in HDFS. Okay, like so I could say this is the only one directory here. Okay, like this is also one directory. Rest of the things are not directories at all for HDFS user. Okay. So what we do is we'll go ahead and then create a directory in HDFS. In local, okay, like how can I create a directory? Uh, I'm, I'm pretty sure like you might have already learned a little bit of the if you want, if you try to create the same directory again, okay, like it say that directory already exists. Okay, so to suppress this message, okay, like you could say like mkdir minus p and then testing. So this p option, what it does is it will it will not combine if at all directory exists. So it will simply exit out if the directory exists. If not, it will create the directory. That is the purpose of that. Let's go ahead and create a directory in HDFS. So when I say like mkdir, it will be creating a directory in your local operating system. Similarly, to create a directory in HDFS, I could use HDFS, DFS, mkdir. Um, I could say just like class. Okay. Remember, um, when you create a directory, it always creates in your user level folder of HDFS. Okay. If you don't give the path, it will assume that okay, like it will be created on the user level directory. So when I don't give any of the options, just like ls, so it will give me list of files and directories available in the user directory. Similarly, if I say like mkdir, okay, let's go ahead and create a directory called class and just enter. This mkdir, HDFS, DFS, mkdir will create a directory in HDFS. So let's try to see that whether it's been created or not. Okay, so there is a new directory created in HDFS as class. Again, when you say like ls here, Where is this class directory? This class directory has been created in HDFS. So when you say ls, it will not be displayed. ls will give you the list of the files and directories available on the local operating system. HDFS, DFS, ls will give you the list of files, directories available in HDFS. When you, when you add HDFS, DFS, all these commands will be executed on the on the HDFS. So that's why these are called like a file system commands. The first one, HDFS, anyway, we already know that. What does the HDFS means? And the second one, the DFS means, it's called distributed file systems. So any command which will starts with HDFS, DFS, all the commands are called file system commands. These stands are distributed there. Okay. Earlier in the old versions of the Hadoop, so they used to run like Hadoop, uh, same command, Hadoop FS, okay, like, and then ls like this. This is also correct. Okay, like when you say like Hadoop FS, that will also would work. But using Hadoop FS is a very old style. Okay, like having HDFS, DFS is the new style. Okay, it's a new API, I could say. Hadoop FS is the old API. Old API usage of old API is already deprecated, and but still to make it compatible with the backward compatibility. So they just kept the same option as well. So in some of the books or some of the online resources or anywhere, so you could see Hadoop space FS. Okay, in some books you could see HDFS DFS. But using HDFS DFS is the latest API. Okay, that is a um, uh, that is the right way. Okay, to learn the commands at least at this time. Okay, this is the very old one. 3 years back, 4 years back, people used to run the commands like this. But if you found out any of the tutorial, I think any of the things which it starts with Hadoop underscore Hadoop space FS, just assume that you could replace this with the HDFS DFS. Okay, both the things would work. Okay, you could change interchangeably, or you could do whatever thing that you want. This DFS stands for like distributed file systems. So HDFS has a lot of options. Okay, like so, if you say like HDFS, you could see that there are a lot of options for HDFS. In Hadoop, one of the beauty of the Hadoop is that they built all the commands or tools options. It's very easily you could see the possible options. Just press HDFS and then enter. It will give you all the options. So DFS is the first one. That's what we are looking at. And class path, name node, secondary name node, general node, like that. You have a lot of options. Okay, for HDFS. So all the file system commands will come under HDFS, DFS. Okay, like so. Type HDFS, DFS, and then enter. Will give you whatever the possible file system commands that you could use in HDFS. So append to file, cat, checksum, change group, change one, copy from local, count, CP, like this. Okay. Let me see how many commands. These are very, very handy. So without knowing these commands, okay, like you cannot say that you know the Hadoop. So in the Hadoop, first thing is we need to learn the architecture. We need to learn about daemons. We need to see that what is the functionality of each daemon. And the next thing is learning. Part of learning deliverable is file system. So we need to learn the file system commands. So if you know all the options, all the commands, then you could play with HDFS like anything. So it's like that, right? Even in the Unix operating system, if you know all the file system commands, then you could go through, you could traverse, you could do a lot of things on the Unix operating system. If you don't know that one, so you cannot do that one. Similarly, even in the HDFS. That is the reason first we are learning the file system commands. Very, very important, and this will help a lot in many of the cases. Okay. Um, so another one, if you want to see uh, more options, I think you could also pass L. Sorry. HDFS, DFS, like this, I guess. Okay, there is only one option. Okay. So try HDFS, DFS help. It's more equivalent to the manual pages of your local operating system. Okay, so it will give you a little bit more detailed level about each option, each command, what it does, and how to use it, that kind of stuff. So one command that we already tried, it's called like HDFS, DFS, help. Please note down everyone. Whatever the commands that we are trying, please note down so that it will be, so that you could practice whenever you got access to the cluster or whenever you want to play with your HDFS or Hadoop cluster. So it will be very, very handy. One thing is HDFS, DFS. So just enter, will give you all the list of the options. Next one is HDFS, DFS, help will give you uh, uh, more usage level options. Okay, like each command, what is the option, what is the explanation of each of everything. Next one, what we tried is HDFS, DFS, MKDAR, and minus P will be used um, uh, to suppress any of the errors. Okay, like that will be displayed while creating a directory. So we already created a class directory, but you could use minus P, or else you could use minus P and then try it one more time. So it will not give you any error. If the directory exists, it will create. If it not, sorry, if directory exists, it will not throw any error. If directory does not exist, then it will go ahead and create a directory. So how to see that one, whether this directory is available or not, type ls, then you could see that. So there is a class directory which will be created on 725, right? Okay. There is no equivalent command as to the present working directory in HDFS, because in HDFS you cannot go to particular directory. Okay, like in local, yes, you could traverse to the directory. That is the reason there is a CD and PWD commands are there. When I say CD, you can go to that directory. For example, CD means change directory. CD testing or what? CD testing directory, you could go to the testing directory and then you could say present working directory, it will display that. There is no CD directory in HDFS, so there is no PWD directory in HDFS. Okay, these two are very, very important. So we covered how, we covered MKDR, we covered LS. Okay, right? Uh, Another one. Um, HDFS, DFS, MKDAR minus P, and user, I'm in the HDFS user, and class. Okay, this is also equivalent to this command. So both these commands are really same and it does the same purpose. The first command for mkdir, I given the complete path. So any path which will start from slash or root. In the Unix world, they will call it a root, but even in HDFS also, people would be using the same thing. So this slash will be called as a root. It's a root file system. Okay, like it always starts from the root or slash. You could use either way. Okay, like but so the initial directory of our file system is nothing but slash. Then in slash there is a home directory. After that, there is a HDFS directory, and after that, there is a class local. Underneath, there is a testing directory. That's what it means. This is what like path. Similarly, even for HDFS also, okay, slash is nothing but it's a root directory. So entire the HDFS file system starts from root or slash. Then inside that there is a user level, then there is a user, and then there is a HDFS subdirectory. Underneath there is a class. So when you don't pass any of these parameters, like for example, ls, okay, so it will give you the contents of user directory of the user. Since I logged in as HDFS, okay, like so I will get the contents of slash user slash HDFS like this. Both the commands HDFS DFS ls and HDFS DFS ls slash user slash HDFS both are same. If you don't give any of the path, it always gives the user level directory. Okay. Uh, how it's being taken that in Unix also, I do have PWD, right? I will go to the directory. Um, maybe I can show you like this. So PWD will give the present working directory, and if I say like CD, and then I can go to some test or any other path, right? So CD means change directory to that particular thing. So if you don't pass any path to CD, just CD and enter. What it does is it will go to your home directory. So for the CD command, if you don't pass any of the path, it will go to your home directory or user directory. Okay. So here the user directory is slash home slash HDFS. That's what CD command would do. When I say CD and enter, it always goes to your home directory. Similarly, um, um, even in HDFS, DFS, ls, and then enter, it will give you the list of files and subdirectories available in your home directory. Okay, so that is the reason whether you give the same user um, user HDFS or if you don't give any of the path, both will give the same results. But you might have observed that one. If I give the slash user HDFS, I'm getting a complete path here. All the file names are coming as complete path. But whereas here, I'm not getting the complete path. Okay, that's one. Second thing is, but yeah, you could pass any of the directories as well. So if you want to see what other users are exist in the HDFS, so you can say HDFS DFS ls slash user will give you whatever other users are available here. Okay, even if I give the root directory, HDFS DFS slash ls, then it will give you a list of the directories files available in the root directory, in the slash directory. And then you could see that there are a lot of directories available here, and I do have some data. Okay, so let me see that what else it have. I do have data and then sample. Oh, there is an option. Okay, like to see all the uh, files and directories in the recursive manner. You could add the option R. It's uppercase R, which will be the recursive. So you could see everything from the data. I can give from the data as well. So I could see everything from under data, whatever it is there. I have a data sample. So there is one subdirectory. Under the sample, I do have some file exists. That is about ls. So if you pass any of the directory, okay, like it will give you that one. Otherwise, it will give you from your local directory. It's always a good practice to give the complete path for the ls command. So most of the cases, even though we are creating the local directory and all the stuff, but it's always good practice. Okay. So I do have here the class. Uh, I don't think we have added anything into the class. That's why it's just like empty. Hence that okay. We could also think um, class also we do have that. Okay, like ls will give you only at the first level. Okay, like so I can pass ls hyphen D will give me the directories. And there is another one called H. So here the H will display the sizes of the directories or files in a human readable format. That's what H stands for. If you don't give that one, okay, like to give the sizes in the bytes. Here you could see 13667. Okay, like there is a 130.5. Like LS, R, H, they are very, very important. Okay, like so we already covered that one. Okay, like next thing, uh, let's try to copy some of the files cd class local. I do have some of the files here available, and let's try to put some files into. So my class directory is in HDFS, class local is in the local operating system. That's why I named it like that. Okay. Uh, there is one last thing I want to highlight. Let's go ahead and create subdirectories in the class mkdir minus p. I could say simply directory 1. By the way, you could create a multiple directories on the same command like this. So just give a space in between the directories, and then you could create multiple directories like this. So I'm just giving a minus p because if that directory exists, it will not be compliant. But in this case, we don't have any these directories exist. So it would be good whether to give this p or not. But always mkdir, whenever you use the mkdir command, use the minus p option. So class under directory 1, class of directory 2. So I'm attempting here to create a 2 subdirectories under class. So in one command, one line, you could create multiple subdirectories by giving multiple paths. Okay, so I do have the class directory 1, I do have the class directory 2. So there are 2 subdirectories exist in the class. Okay, this is about mkdir. We covered some of the options, and the ls, we covered all the options. So next, try to go, let's try to put some data into the HDFS. Okay, so how to copy the data into HDFS or how to put the data into the HDFS. Put some file into HDFS. What it does is, okay, like HDFS, DFS, and then put. Take some file. I do have chicago.txt file, which is in the local directory. So this is the file. So this file, where is this file? This file is in local operating system. Okay, I'm trying to save this file into the HDFS, or I'm trying to copy the file into HDFS. I'm trying to put the file into HDFS. All are same. So where do you want to put this file? So let's put into the class. So for the put command, the first option is the path of the file where it exists, and the second argument is the path of HDFS where you want to put the file. Okay, let's try to put that. If you don't see any error, that means it's successful. Okay, like it's a shell command like that. So if you want, you could see that command output, uh, command return output, whether it's 0 or 1. Okay, like if it is a 0, then it is successful. If it is a 1, then that means it's a failure. So let's try to put the ls command, and then you could see that whether now HDFS has the file chicago.txt. Where is this file? Under class. Again, uh, if the path is not started with the slash or root, that means that is from the user level directory. So you could also give like this. both the commands will display the same results. Okay. Only thing is the file name will have the complete path. That is only the difference. Anyway, um, so we covered the put. Um, um, you could pass or you could put multiple files at the same time by passing the multiple files. Just remember that each file will separated by the space and uh, the ending directory would be HDFS directory. So you could put multiple files in the same command. Also, um, you could force the file, you could overwrite the file if it is already existing HDFS. So we'll see that how it works and everything. So HDFS again, if I try to run the same command, so it will simply say that the file exists. See, the put class.chicago text file already exists. So if it is already exists, it will give you a warning. One thing is that if I don't want to get the warning, I could say -f. That means it is a forcible. So I'm telling um, uh, Hadoop platform, okay, to override the file of Chicago text in that directory. So that F stands for force override. Okay. Um, Another one, I'm just adding. Uh, I don't think you could be able to see that. Let me clear the screen. Okay. DFS put. I do have Chicago.txt file. I do have Chicago underscore text underscore test.txt. So I'm giving two files at the same time. Okay, like on the class to the class directory. I'm giving two files together to save these both files in the same command, and I'm saying that copy to the directory. So remember, when you're giving multiple files in the same command as different options, the last argument should be your HDFS directory. If I have the third file, okay, like let me see that I do have third file as well. Okay, like so Chicago from something like that, right? So all these three files I could put into the class. Sorry. You could add at the end slash, or even if it is not, if it does not, it should not matter. Let me copy only the two files instead of three. Okay. So Chicago file already exists because it's complaining because it's already exists. So let's put -f there to avoid that error. Now you could see that contents of the class directory because we save these files into the class. So let's see that what is the contents of the file directory. I do have Chicago.txt and Chicago underscore test.txt. So both files are exist. I use the same command to put that up. Of course, you could also use asterisk symbol like this. So all the files which starts with Chicago, okay, like it will try to move into the class. Sorry, not move. Move is the wrong word. It will copy that contents into the Chicago directory. So this, you could also use the star. Oh, there is some Chicago from HDFS also. See that all the files from Chicago, okay, like that. Okay, so that is the purpose of the put command. Put means it just try to put the file into the HDFS. Any questions so far? Are you able to follow me? Please note down whenever you heard about the new option for the same command. Okay, please note down in your notebook, consolidate everything. I know that you are not able to run parallelly with me, but note down the commands. You could practice it later on. Uh, another one I want to show. I'm not sure most of the online so resources and these courses are online. I don't think you would get a good information there. You could also store the file from your input. So this is the standard input tool in HDFS. So just give hyphen. Hyphen is the standard input tool. So next thing is I will give you wherever the path is user HDFS and class. I could say input data dot text. Okay. So here I'm not given any file name. I just given hyphen. Hyphen stands for standard input. So what does it mean is whatever the content that I typed here, okay, like this from my keyboard, okay. Once you've done everything, I think it's Control C. Okay. Now we go ahead and then see the class directory. I do have input data of maybe it's not Control C. I forgot. Mm, it's Control C. But anyway, still you could see this file. Okay, like copy that and how to see the file contents from HDFS, DFS, cat, and then you give the file name. You could see that everything that I typed from the keyboard. Okay, you can see that. See here, what are the input that I typed in the key on the using the keyboard? Okay, like everything is saved in the file. Okay. Um, the cat is the command. If you say like cat Chicago.txt, it will display the content of the file into the screen from the local file system. Okay. Similarly, if I say like HDFS, DFS, cat, class, Chicago.txt, it will display the file content from HDFS and display to the screen. Okay. So that is the difference. Um, I covered that one. Okay, like so. Hmm. I covered the cat, I covered the put. So now we'll see that if there is a command called, you could see that all the command option using HDFS, DFS. Okay, you could see that one too. But the only thing is this will display in the alphabetical order, but I'm explaining the commands in their usage order point of view so that you could understand very clearly. Next one is there is a command called move from local. Okay. So this command, let me see first of all what else are there here. There is a student text. Okay. Let's try to, I don't want that. Let's try to get this from student underscore one text or student data. Let's go to this. Let's go to the sample data text. Okay. So HDFS, DFS, move from local, uh, sample data text, okay, and then class. So here what it does is, as the name implies, it will move from local. So it will not copy from the local. So when you say like ls minus lrt, there won't be any sample data here. Did you see that one? There is no sample data. So sample data is this file has been moved from local to HDFS. Now you have the sample data. Sometimes what would happen is some scenarios you don't want to keep the local file or copy of the file in the local file system. So in that scenarios, you could use move from local. Next. So now we learned how to copy the file from local to HDFS and how to move the file from local to HDFS. We already covered that. Now how to get the files from HDFS. Okay. I will remove the file Chicago from HDFS. So the command used to get the file from HDFS is get. And then you need to give the path. Class Chicago.text. If you don't give any of the options after HDFS file name, it will simply get the file from HDFS to the local file system. Of course, Chicago.txt is already exists here, so it will try to complain that file is already exists. Instead, you could give the local path, local file name. I could say Chicago from HDFS.txt. This file is not there. So it will get the file from HDFS and rename into this file name. So now you could see Chicago from HDFS with whatever the current timestamp. Okay, that is about the get. Um, get there is a P option as well, so that it will not complain if the file is already exists. Okay, the get minus P similar to mkdir minus P. Okay, that option is also there. Yeah, you could give it. You could give a try. So now get. If I try to same thing again, it will say that like the file has already exists, right? Because I'm giving the second time. So to suppress that errors, okay, like you could say get minus P. Still it complaining? Oh, sorry. Here the P stands for it will try to preserve the permissions from the HDFS. Sorry, this is not for to suppress the error message like mkdir. It's a little bit different here. I'm sorry, it's my bad. Um, get will always throw an error if the file exists. Yeah, I don't think there is any option exactly like so. P stands for to preserve the file permissions from the HDFS. So whatever the file permissions of HDFS, it will simply copy over here. File permissions, how to see the file permissions? Like you could run the command ls minus r class. You could see that these are the file permissions. File permissions, and this is the username, this is the group name. So all these things will be copied over to your local file system. And another one, let's move to the next command. Uh, it's called disk usage. Okay, like so you could say du testing. This will give you local du minus h testing. Will we give you exactly in the human readable format? Um, and what else is there? I think there is a yes also. Um, it will give you just like a summary of the files. If you give the only the directory, and then it will not be. If you say like du minus s, it will give the summary for the given directory at that time. I could say slash home. This also would work like this. Home has 916. It will give the summarization at the directory level. It will not give that underneath of everything. There is a has, h is in human. If you don't give the has, okay, like it will give you all the subdirectories. Okay, that is about the local. Similarly, even in HDFS, so DU is for disk usage. Okay, like I could say, um, let's go to that one. User HDFS. Okay, it will give you the complete breakdown of everything. So class directory, this is the size. So if I give DUH, the sizes would be in human readable format. If I give DUS, it will give you at the directory level. Summarization at the directory level. And DU minus H is also there. Top. You could pass multiple things, multiple parameters at the same time. So here you could see that one. The size has been converted into the megabytes. M stands for a mega, K stands for kilo, G stands for giga, like that. It will be much more human readable format this one. Okay. This is about DU, stands for disk usage. Another one, it's called like DF. Okay, like so you could say DF enter. It's a local again. What I'm giving is the local one. So DF, I could say slash data. Of could it's there. Oh, it's under home HDFS. So it will give you that how much disk space is available. Okay, like um, how much free space is available exactly. And H will give you DF minus H will give you the sizes in human readable format. Just add the H. Okay, you will see that in gigabytes, megabytes, kilobytes, like that. Similarly, this is the local file system. Okay, like HDFS, DFS, DF, enter, minus H, enter. If you don't give any part, home directory, slash user again, slash user. If you give the slash user, it will give the at the at that level, user level, slash user level. Okay, that is about the DF, which will display the free space. DF stands for display free. DU stands for display usage. Uh, there is other command. It's called like checksum. This checksum will give you um, um, class Chicago data. So for any file, you could compute the checksum, which will be um, like this. Okay, this is nothing but checksum, and this is the MD5. MD5 is one of the algorithm it uses okay to compute the checksum. Okay, like so this is the complete checksum. Uh, for example, I do have the Chicago and I do have the Chicago underscore test as well. You may you might have observed that both the files have the same checksum. Is it not? Because the both files are same. Both the file contents are the same. So the checksum will be used to identify that if you want to remove the duplicate files, the checksum is one of the parameters that they will be used. How you could identify the duplicate files, even though file names are different. So checksum is one of the uh, utility okay, like people would follow to identify the duplicate files. Here you could see that one, the same. For example, I'm opening Chicago test, Chicago test.txt, and added some content. So I added a little bit content there to the Chicago underscore test, and I'm replacing this file. I'm putting it back into HDFS. Now you try to compute the checksum. Do you see that? Value is different here. because now the content of the file got changed. So that is the reason you will see the different values. If I rename to some other name and then if I try to get the checksum, so you will see the same value. So this checksum will be used to identify duplicate files. Okay, that is about the checksum. Not much uh, highly used or much important thing. Okay. Uh, there's a command called change mode. So here in the local, when I say ls minus lrt, you could see that um, this is the user, this is the group. This is the user, this is the group. So this is the permission bits. Okay. The change mode operation will be used to change these bits. So here, this is a 3 octet. Okay, like the first octet indicates for the user, second octet indicates for group, third octet indicates for others. Okay, so each one will have 3 bits. That's why it's called like octet. Okay, like because the maximum value you could use it for 3 bits is 8. Okay, 111, like in the binary system, like 4, 2, 1, 7 basically. Sorry, not 8, 7. 0 to 7, right? 7 is the value only that you could store. Totally 8 values that you could store using the three bits. So that's why the leave the first one. I will tell you the first one is called like a sticky bit and it will be used in different purposes. I know I'm going to the deep dive into the Unix, but just to explain you, the 3 bits is stands for the user and next 3 bits is for the group and the next 3 bits is for the others. Here, R stands for the read, W stands for the write, and X stands for execute. Read, write, execute. Read, write, execute. Read, write, execute. So the first 3 bits indicates read, write, execute for the user. The second one, read and execute for group. Read and execute for others. So this is the username and this is the group name. Okay. Any user who is not belongs to that group will come under others group. Any user which is same as like this username will come under a user. Any user who is belongs to the group but not this user HDFS will come under this group. So that's how these group permissions will be categorized in the Unix and that's how it is. The first bit typically if it is a blank that indicates that it is a file and if it is a D, if it is for directories it indicates a D. Also there is if it is a link, okay, like you could see something else there. Lot of other user parameters as well. But for directories and files, for directories you could see D, for files you will not see any value there. That is the first bit. Similarly, even in HDFS, you also have similar set of permissions. Same octet, 3 octets. First octet is called user, group, and then others. This is the user, this is the group. And this is the size, and this is the timestamp, and this is the path. Okay. RWX, RWX, RWX will give you the complete set of all the privileges for all the other users, and then users belongs to the same group. Okay. Also, this there is a numeric representation of the permissions bits as well. So that is the another way. So R stands for the weightage 4, W stands for weightage 2, and X has weightage of 1. So people instead of writing RWX like that, people also use the numeric representation. So they would use chmod 777 for student underscore one dot text. You could see that the student underscore one has RWRR. Okay, which is, I mean, if you convert it to the numeric representation, R has weightage 4, W has weightage 2. So it will be 6, 4, 4. Okay, I'm making it as completely like 777. Let's try to see that. Now you see that RWX, 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 because I given a 777. The first letter stands for user, second digit stands for group, third digit stands for the other. 777 like that. Okay, that is one thing. Of course, you could also use uh, RWX representation as well, but I mean, here bottom line, what I'm trying to say here is, even in HDFS also, you could change the command. You could change ch mode. You could say 755. Okay, like class Chicago text. So here you could see that when it has the value as 644. So from 644, I'm changing to 775. I thought about 755. 755. Okay, let's give it a try. So that's how you change the permission bits. RWX, RX, RX. RWX stands for 421. It's a 7. That's what 7 is indicates. And 5 indicates RX because 4 plus 1. And 4 plus 1, RX. Yeah, if you want, you could refer it for the Unix level change mode help. And then you could have a lot of help and then you could read that. How to get a help? So man chmod will give you the help on that command, everything with all the options. So you could go through that. Then you could learn more things on how these numbers have been, how these numbers have been coined and how to use and all that stuff. But here, when we are running the HDFS command, so I'm just showing you how to use the same command, or how to use it locally, how to use the command in the HDFS. Uh, do we have some more time, or like, shall I give you a break here? Okay, go ahead, Vijayanagaram. What is your question? Oh, by the way, I got a message that please cover resource manager and node manager also. Yes, I'm going to cover resource manager and node manager as well. Okay, probably in the next class I will be covering that one. Don't worry, we are still learning basic things, so definitely I will cover that. As HDFS is, the question is, HDFS is read many and write once. What is the uses of the W flag? Very good. Okay. Um, this is the notion exactly. Like HDFS will give you the better performance when you read many times or write once. Okay. That does not mean that you cannot write more than once. You can write more than once in HDFS. Example. Let's see. Um, so we have a file Chicago Chicago text, right? We already saw that one. Observe the size of this file. Okay, I do have 1336667 bytes. So what I will do is I will open the Chicago.txt file. I add little bit content to that. and I want to overwrite the file. Oh, I'm sorry. Right? So earlier I have the file size of 133,687. Now the file size is 136,686. So what happened here? I have overwritten the file. That means I have written. First time we have written the file, and second time I have overwritten the file. So here, how many times write happened? Two times. Let's try another one. Now the file size is 133,713. So what does it mean really? Like, so I'm changing the files. I'm changing the file. I'm writing more than once here. Okay, right? So file level, you could write multiple times in a HDFS. So HDFS is not limited to only write once. If you write one file into the HDFS, you could write multiple times. You could overwrite that file multiple times. Yes, it will. I mean, frankly speaking, it try to create a new file. So whenever you are try to overwrite that one, it will remove the old file and it will write the back the new file. Exactly. That's right. So, I mean, yeah, I know that you might have heard somewhere that HDFS is read one, read many, and write once, but HDFS will allow you to update your data.
Professor, hello, Professor.
Yes, sir.
But in reality, suppose I have some 100 terabytes file, a big file is there with me, but only I had a small change.
Yes.
Then in such case, it's not advisable to write everything. Maybe some blocks can be replaced.
Now, in HDFS, the lower level is the file. You cannot write the block.
So,
It's similar to your local file system. If you have the terabyte file in your local operating system, if you go and update that, what would happen? Same thing. The lower grind to store the data, even though it is at the block level, but um, at the HDFS level, it's still at the file. So you are going to update the file. You are going to internally what it does is it will remove the old file and it will write the new file.
then it's lot of time.
Yeah, that's how it works with HDFS. There is no other way. The lower grain is at the file level only. So even though you just added one byte at the beginning or ending or even in the middle of the file anyway, so it will try to replace the entire file. That is the reason, okay, like people, what they do is, okay, like they will, uh, if you require um, um, multiple writes are in a, much more, um, what do you say that, like, if your application requires multiple writes at the same time on multiple places, so they don't recommend Hadoop to store that files. So people would use it whenever there is a case, read many and write once. So they choose the Hadoop on that one, but it's not limited that. There is an append operation as well, okay, like for any given file, but if you are trying to add at the end of the file, okay, like there is an operation called append, okay, like it will append the data at the end of the file. But if you are updating at the beginning or middle or anywhere in the file, okay, like it does not have the knowledge. So there is a command called append. We'll also see that one. Um, um, when I'm covering all the commands, okay, there is append command as well. So you could see that HDFS, DFS um, here append to file. Okay, like so, there is an option. So you could append the data. Okay, like for the existing file. Okay. Um, is it clear, Vijayanagaram people? This W indicates exactly whatever it is. Frankly speaking, here W, um, yeah, I, I know. Um, I'm not surprised for W, but most of the people they would ask me what would be the use of X. There is no execution in the HDFS. You cannot execute any program in the HDFS. Okay, like the X stands for execution, read, write, execution. Okay, like so. Many people had asked me what is the significance of X in HDFS permissions? Because you can't execute any of the file in HDFS, right? You cannot execute any program from HDFS. So this X will indicate uh, carry over the permissions from the parent folder. So if I give the X here, and if I create any of the subdirectories underneath, okay, like so, the same permissions would be carried over to the subdirectories. That's what it indicates that X is about. And X really it meant only for the directories, not for the files. So even though you give the files, it will not added any value added here. Okay. For files, there is no meaning of X really. For directories, yes, because the same permissions will carry over to the subdirectories. Anyway, I mean, I know you are not asked for the X, but that's the use of that. Only the meaning of X is different from local operating system to the HDFS. But read, write, both are same. And similar to chmod, there is another command called chone. What it does is, it will change the owner. It will change the owner. As of now, the owner is about HDFS, so it will change the owner to some other user. I just put like Uzi. Okay, like so. Because I know that that user exists, and then you could give a try, and you could see that earlier it was HDFS, and now it becomes the Uzi. That's how you change the owner of the file. Okay, like ch1 indicates it's a change owner. Ch for change, own for owner. Similarly, change mode. It's called like ch mode. It's called change mode. Like I think I'm almost covered 12 commands so far. Um, I will cover the simple one, and then maybe after that, like I'll give a break and I will continue in the next class. So there is a command called copy. If it is a simple command, I'm not giving the local one. Okay, like CP stands for copy. Okay, like so. This copy command would work from HDFS to HDFS. So class Chicago dot text. I could say Chicago. Sorry, class of Chicago underscore copy dot text. If you want to have the same file name, okay, like so, you can just leave the blank and it will take the same file name. So here in this example, um, I want to change the name of the file as well. So that's why I just given the both. And similarly, there is a move command as well. So it will also try. It will also move instead of copy. It will move the file from move Chicago to uh, move. Then you try to the same command. then you will not see the Chicago.txt file. It's already been moved from here. There is no Chicago.txt file. Earlier we do have Chicago.txt. It will be already moved. Similar to the copy, there is a move command as well. And copy and move, they also exist in the Unix and Linux. It's just like copy from one to another. Move means it will move from source to the destination. Okay. There are like 8 or go to the next topic. Any other questions?